What's going on, folks? Welcome to the bar. Today we're going to be talking about Kaiju No. 8, Chapter 12. Last week we had the hiatus, and the Kaiju Showcase once again provided us with some beautifully colored art. But if you don't remember, as of Chapter 11, the new recruits are headed out for their first round of Kaiju slaying. So before we get started today, do me a solid. Hit that subscribe button, that way we can keep the lights on here at the bar. And remember, this video is going to contain spoilers for Kaiju No. 8, both the series and the chapter itself. Last person in has to buy the first drink. Okay, so the chapter starts off immediately by bringing us back down into the tense situation that it left us off with 2 weeks ago. The initial panel showed soldiers fiddling with their weapons as the radio chatter reveals that the kaiju that they're chasing is 150 meters tall. And look, if you're American like I am, that's about 490 feet. This thing is pretty much the size of Godzilla. From there, though, the chapter moves inside of a military Humvee, with Vice Captain Hoshina telling the squad that it's kaiju slaying time. We're gonna come back to this scene, though, because I really want to dwell on this moment before war. Inside the Humvee, we see Kikoru staring at Kafka, and a flashback occurs with them sitting at a diner. It turns out Kafka laid it all out for her, and after a few sarcastic quips, Kafka mentions maybe giving himself up, thinking that the Defense Force might be able to help him. Kikoru then immediately shuts it down, and when I mean shuts it down, I'm talking asking for a pack of fossil Pokemon cards while leaving Kmart in 1999 shut down. Sorry, that was oddly specific, but yeah, she squashes that idea immediately. And to be quite honest, she kind of confirms my suspicions about the Defense Force. If they come across a kaiju that strong, Kafka is not only going to lose his spot in the Defense Force, he will probably be dissected and ripped apart and somehow reverse engineered into weapons for the humans. I mean, Kikoru pretty much says that any kaiju with a code name ends up being reverse engineered, and with that information, Kafka freaks the fuck out and pleads with her, do not tell anybody, please, please don't tell anyone. And she agrees that she won't say anything because Kafka saved her life. She then says something kind of foreboding. She says that if Kafka turns out to be one of those kaijus that threaten humanity, she won't hesitate in killing him. This statement causes Rino's eyes to open up wide as Kafka pretty much agrees he wouldn't have it any other way. Kikoru then breaks eye contact with Kafka in present time, moving back from the flashback, and internally, all that she really hopes for is that Kafka doesn't let her down. Kafka stares at her with a lukewarm, confident smile, and then immediately we're reminded this is Kafka, so his nerves get the best of him and he throws up all over the place. The recruits then step out of the Humvee and the reality hits Rino in the face. It's time for his first mission. The ride is over. The respective squads begin assembling their staging points by 0400 hours, or 4 a.m. Vice Captain Hoshina then appears to relay the operation/pre-game pep talk. He starts by letting the soldiers know about the kaiju that they're facing off against and how it obtained this massive size without being noticed. Hoshina then continues by saying Captain Ishiro's squad is dealing with the Hanju in the area, so by proxy, they're going to be the ones responsible for the elimination of the Yoju in the area. The crucial little bit of information that might be overlooked is right here when Hoshina specifically says for people to deal with the kaiju threat within the specific designated zones. He kind of makes it out to seem like eliminating them within the zones will prevent as many casualties as possible, but also at the same time, there could be an active squad like moving through the main streets trying to make sure damage control is to a minimum, and that way they're like the people that deal with kaiju very quickly and precisely. Hoshina then lets them know that their job's success or failure here will dictate how much money and time is spent rebuilding after the disaster. He then throws in one last caveat. They're the rookies, so they're the ones that are hanging back, which means they're the last stand. So if there aren't any more questions, he wants them all to know before they get started that good marks on a test does not mean shit when it comes to saving a life. The tension boils over and then all of a sudden the recruits let out a huge war cry. They're ready. But suddenly, amongst the hype, Rino appears in the ear of Kafka. They have one more heart-to-heart where Rino is like, dude, you did it, you're here. And Kafka inadvertently uses his charisma to actually help Rino out of his nerves. The two rivals then set out, with Kafka and Kikoru rolling out to go take out some kaiju, and after a funny panel where Kikoru tells Kafka not to order her around and Kafka waddles his ass down a roof, he tells Rino, don't die, and they're off to face down their first Yoju. But that's the end of the chapter. Man, I gotta say, every time these guys come out of a break, the chapter is an absolute banger. Before I start prattling on about what might happen next or what might happen in the future, y'all know me. I love breaking down certain scenes, so we're gonna move back to this panel with all the newbies in the Humvee. I said I was gonna come back here. When I first read the chapter, I sat there and really looked into their faces. This moment gave me vibes of like when war movies do their calm before the storm. We see Kafka sitting there determined with his eyebrows pursed together, mixing anxiety with like hype. We then move to Reno, and it turns out that the person that was constantly fiddling with their weapon in the beginning of the chapter was him. I mean, it looks like he has a little bit of a blank expression here, but it might not seem like much to some people, but his nerves are all over the place. You could see them there. He needs to make sure all of his equipment is up to par and working. And fiddling and fidgeting is definitely a sign of anxiety. As for the other recruits, we can totally see looks of stress, determination, focus, and fear. And if you're Furuhashi, you're pretty much just still sleepy. Also, in this chapter, we found out that Kafka did reveal his secret to Kikoru, and it was done off of the base. Big ups here to Kafka and Reno. It kind of shows me that they're taking this very seriously, now especially because they're in so deep. And not to mention, Kikoru did confirm my suspicions that if somebody finds out about Kafka's unique transformation, he'll end up on a table experimented on. Though the last thing I want to speculate or just talk about before we part ways today is the character Reno. Look, Reno has been our best boy since the story started, and the problem is now I feel like they're already foreshadowing his death. The constant reminders from the Defense Force that you shouldn't buddy up with the people that are around you, coupled with the types of conversations Reno and Kafka have been having over the past couple of chapters, it makes me think either A, Reno might die, or B, Kafka disregards what everybody said to him and transforms to fight to save Reno from one of those areas where he's not supposed to be, so maybe he gets away with it, or maybe he gets seen by a bunch of people. Either way, I feel like eventually the secret of being a kaiju is kinda gonna be too big of a secret to keep tight-lipped, especially when you're in the job meant to slay kaiju. So let's say people eventually will find out Kafka's secret due to him saving a large amount of civilians. Maybe he's able to reveal himself in a way that to the public he looks like a hero. That way it'll be harder for the self-defense force just to swipe him up and dissect him. I mean, the typical anime trope would be that somebody like Mina sticks her neck out for Kafka, saying that if he steps out of line, she will personally kill him. That reasoning alone could give Kafka the ability to operate outwardly as a kaiju for the defense force, but we'll have to see. As for next chapter, I don't know if it'll be the moment where Kafka finally reveals himself to everybody, but I definitely will say with confidence that one of the recruits is not going to make it out of this alive. There's a bunch of different recruits, and I'm not saying that necessarily the recruits that we've met will die, I'm just saying that there's definitely going to be a lot of death here to get to our recruits. But yeah, if there's anything that you feel like I didn't cover in this video, be sure to drop it in the comments down below. You know me, I love our discussions. I'm still answering questions from the webtoon video. Additionally, as of September 30th, the fan art quirk contest has officially come to an end. Thank you very much for all your submissions, and now hopefully I'll have the video done within the next week or two where I'll announce the winners, and it'll be my 1-year anniversary video. So I'll probably announce memberships on that same day as well. It's gonna be pretty cool. Hopefully you'll be there for the stream, and hopefully you'll be there for the video. But other than that, this is Dan, signing off saying, don't turn into a kaiju, spit that shit out.